Welcome back to the AUS Centre of Excellence for the last of 4 games on Sunday's slate. It's the home Australian Rollers taking on Spain. It's part of the Rollers Against the World Challenge, a 5-day extravaganza of men's wheelchair basketball coming to you from Canberra. For the Australian team, the last time these two sides faced off was just yesterday, and the Spanish team were much too good, finishing up running away 82-67. Australia had a different game this morning, mixing up their lineups a little bit and finally falling to Italy's 69-55. Whilst for Spain in their morning game, they were triumphant again, 70-60 over Japan, the only team that's been able to beat them thus far at the tournament. My name's Brendan Parnell, and I'm joined by Campbell Fraser, who can provide some of the expert commentary about the intricacies of the game of wheelchair basketball. Campbell, it was a mixture of lineups this morning. Australian head coach Brad Ness utilised. See that large squad of 16 players on the screen. Possibly expect him to go a little tighter and more with his what we would recognise as his premier lineup to start tonight's game.
Yeah, I suspect the lineup this morning against Italy was really testing their second game against Italy, and knowing that the game against Spain, their first game, was quite a difficult run for the Rollers. I imagine they'll be putting on their strongest and really looking to bring that back and get a win there. It's been a difficult thing for any team to kind of bring that pressure to the Spanish. The Spanish have been extremely strong, especially inside the paint. Their ability to convert on their offensive side is almost unmatched, and it will be a question for the Rollers as to whether they can really control the pace that the Spanish try to set, and just get the shooting percentage up. I think the Australian Rollers really struggled with their shooting this morning, and in a couple quarters of previous games, they just went a little bit quiet. Potentially they're looking to kind of start strong and really build from there.
As we get a look at the two separate huddles, our officials getting themselves organised: Kathy Hay, Josh McWatters, and Blaine Kraplanov. Australians look like they've got an army over there, having 16 players, a whole lot of coaching staff, and some visiting coaches from the coaching conference that's being held at the AUS this weekend. We shouldn't be surprised about Spain. They're the reigning European champions, having won that event in Sarajevo and Bosnia-Herzegovina, going unbeaten through that tournament, eventually beating Great Britain in the final. And as I said, they've only dropped the one contest here, Japan narrowly getting the better of them a couple of days ago, 52-50. Head coaches just taking a little longer than usual. It's coming up to 6 p.m. in the evening on Sunday evening here in Canberra, the capital city of Australia. Very chilly outside. Winter's set in for those of you watching in Europe. Probably worrying about the heat. No such worries over here. Starting lineups, we have those. For the Australian men, it's Frank Pinder, Tristan Knowles, Tom O'Neill-Thorne, who we didn't see in this morning's game, Jeremy Tyndall and Ben Moncrief, noticeable for the long black sleeves. For the Spanish men, it's Oscar Onrubia. Manuel Lorenzo Campbell, we haven't seen him since the first game of the tournament. Ignacio Ortega, Eduardo Prieto, and Luis Kristen in 77.
Yeah, we're not too sure if there's been an issue with Lorenzo, whether he took an injury in that first game that he was shown in. He's obviously stuck around and is prepared to get back in.
Yeah, he was the leading scorer at the European Championships, so certainly a key part of their squad. You see him there in 13 is on Rubia. Almost a patented starting play for Spain that on Rubio would launch a three without a pass. That one's awry. Tristan Knowles and Tom O'Neill-Thorne reuniting in the backcourt for Australia. O'Neill-Thorne looks, matches on Rubio's three with a matching result. Ortega, bounce pass. Moncrief swoops in for the steal. O'Neill-Thorne preaching calm. Shows the fist signal. Knowles wheels back to the top. Moncrief on the elbow. And the go-to play from the fist as Moncrief rolls. And get it to go. On Rubia. Picked up by Tyndall. Ball gets across. Shot short from Ortega. O'Neill-Thorne. Picked up by Rubia. Switch to Ortega. Nice roll from Tyndall. But the foul was detected before the pass. First Spanish foul. First foul of the game. Tom O'Neill-Thorne, his presence already and verbal presence and leadership obvious. He wheels around and back. Once Knowles inside. Can't get the first one to go. Bit of contact. Second one rolls off. Moncrief. Can't get the first one to go. After the whistle, tries a bit of a circus shot.
That's an odd little offense for the Rollers. Not particularly in terms of their style, but just not being able to convert under the basket. That's they're quite lucky to have the size of Ben Moncrief to really pull those rebounds in, and Ortega's really the only one that can contest him on that. But really, they'd be looking to get those points pretty early and move on.
Moncrief gets the second. Australia the first team to score. Spain in their familiar red strip with the yellow trim. Australia in the green and gold. Some heavy contact. Middle of the floor. Prieto's down. O'Neill-Thorne's down. Ball's in. Prieto, cross to Ortega, drives middle. Cut off by Thorne. That'll be his foul. That's not a great situation for Australia. O'Neill-Thorne with two early fouls. He pleads to the bench that he's okay as Ortega goes boom from three, straight off the inbound pass. Knowles tries middle. Rubio raises his hand. It's his foul. Foul heavy already.
And I suspect that's going to be emblematic of how this game will play out. Harry will pretty aggressively. Obviously, Tom Thorne doesn't want to pick up those fouls too constantly, but he'll be pretty happy with where he's at the moment.
Particularly after that shot. You'd be leaving him here, Campbell, with the two early fouls?
I'd be keeping him on. I think he's as much as he does like to play fluid and fast, he is very aware of himself. He knows what what he's doing and the contact that he's making. And I would trust him to be able to really pull that back in if he needs to. Something that we've seen the Spanish do as well, quite consistently, is go out there and get those heavy fouls, bring out a bit of that aggression, and then really rein it in as quickly as they need to. So, unless he gets one more here, I'd be pretty happy to leave him and the value that he adds.
Yeah, interestingly, although O'Neill Thorne was pleading with the bench to stay on the floor, one of those fouls has been assessed on Tyndall, Jeremy Tyndall, rather than Tom O'Neill Thorne, so it's probably some relief for the Australian bench. I apologise, Campbell, that question a little redundant now, as the bench has confirmed just the one foul on Tom O'Neill Thorne.
We're always happy to talk in theoreticals, and especially around key players for the Australians.
We can see referee Blaine Kraplinov coming over. Spanish coach Carrion was remonstrating, which he's allowed to do within reason, but his assistant coach was certainly up and about as well, and he's been reminded that he cannot stand. Ortega now for Spain. Drives, finds on Rubia. Offensive foul this time. That'll be incredibly the fourth team foul for Spain. Any subsequent fouls will see Australia roll to the free throw line, and we're not even 3 minutes into the contest. Neil Thorne. Hand off, Tristan Knowles. Cut off by Prieto. Extra pass. Finds Frank Pinder. He had to get that up absolutely like lightning. The hand was coming across from his low position. He did so. Ortega. Baseline. Knowles is there. On Rubia, can't get that to go. Moncrief can't corral the rebound. Knowles does the work for him. There it is. Knowles, who's looking past, but launched the three. Knocked it down. And straight away, an offensive foul is drawn. In Spain, Australia will retain possession. You can hear their bench bubbling in the background. It's a second foul on Ortega. I saw him foul out in one of the other games, although he did have 40 against Australia last time. Tyndall goes back door, melds the pass. It's all the rollers here, early going. Ortega. Playing with the two fouls. There's baseline. Back to Rubia. Exchange passes again. Prieto. Can't get that shot to go. Knowles swoops in for the rebound. Frank Pinder temporarily out of his chair. And the Spanish team decides that they will call a timeout. A little out of kilter here early doors, Campbell. And Australia really on a bit of a heater.
Yeah, I think it's actually credit to the Australians really bringing their energy pretty early here, and something that they've struggled with a little bit is kind of finding their heat quickly in the first quarter. Their defense actually being really strong as well. The communication, you can hear it on court, and especially bench as well, being very communicative for the defense to kind of have that almost expand on the court. And there was a fantastic little rotation that they did as Spain looked to move the ball around a lot. They almost had a 5-man split. Every player kind of rotated through as they had to jump 2 or 3 shooters. really get into that position.
So it's Australia 10, Spain 3. It'll be fascinating to see what adjustments the Spanish make. We've certainly seen them ride out a few rough patches before, not lose their equilibrium entirely. Knowles uses the Pinder screen, kicks it back. O'Neill Thorne releases a 3. Pinder tumbles out of his chair. The 3 was off, and ball's reverted back to Spain. Still unclear exactly what the officials did there, but no foul was called. Ortega drives middle, weaves his body in and out, can't quite get balanced for the shot. Somehow gets the offensive rebound, his shoulders pointing towards the rim. And makes it. O'Neill Thorne off and rolling. Is anybody going to pick him up? On Rubia. Makes some contact from behind. It's not going to please the Spanish coaching staff. Spain in the bonus, well and truly.
And that was a smart little play from Tom O'Neill-Thorne, seeing Jeremy Tindall was setting a screen for him, and he could have taken the straight line and gone for a middle court layup, but knowing that the contact was coming in on the side, because that defender really wasn't in position, and potentially just going for that extra little foul. Obviously, it's early in the game, and those fouls really count a lot.
The score table, we were watching that, have confirmed that there was in fact an offensive foul. The last 3-point shot that O'Neill Thorne released. It's Jeremy Tindall, his second foul. That won't please him. There's a man that we haven't seen for a while, Lorenzo, converts inside. He's a preeminent scorer in world wheelchair basketball. O'Neill Thorne rips middle, sees Moncrief cutting back. Pinder somehow gets in there for the offensive rebound. Knowles launches the 3. It's off. Moncrief comes up with it. He felt the contact and just launched a mechanical looking shot. Prieto raises his hand. It's a foul fest here at the moment for Spain.
Yeah, this is not what we want to be seeing from the Spanish side. Not that they're playing poorly, but really the fouls just being a little bit unnecessary, and potentially it's the only way that they're finding to stop players like Ben Moncrief sitting in the paint. They've really got to shore up that defense and find a cleaner way to get away with things like that.
Moncrief makes the first and the second. Prieto pushing the ball up for Spain. Knowles cuts him off. He thought he had Lorenzo inside. Ball spits back. Ortega turns it over. Touch pass there from O'Neill Thorne. Swoops in. Almost going too quickly to make that layup. Chance of a leak out. Moncrief's in the road of that pass. Picks it off. Drives baseline. He's probably got an advantage there. Skips across to Knowles, who somehow gets hold of the pass, which is hotly contested. Weaves through the middle, draws some contact and makes the layup. Tristan Knowles. Nomination for Magician Award. He somehow squeaked through the narrowest of openings there. Some Spanish substitutions rolling onto the floor. And Posing figure of Ruiz, Alexio Ruiz. Along with Garcia and Gelmo. Almost had a triple-double this morning. Garcia and Gelmo finds an early assist. Heavy contact there, and it's ruled it. I think it's going to be a shooting foul. Tristan Knowles took a heavy tumble there.
I like Tristan Knowles coming away with his team and just saying huddle, huddle, as he was going to go for the free throws and actually telling his team to go talk to each other, figure out where they're sitting, and being obviously pretty comfortable with this position. It's not a position that they used to be being in so far against Spain, but the Spanish just being a little bit flustered and potentially getting caught a little bit chaotic by the Australian rollers.
Yeah, so no lineup in the free throw lane here when we get back underway. The foul deemed unsportsmanlike. No real attempt to play the ball is the description from the official. Officials, coaches, everybody having some input here. Frank Peters pulled the wheel off. It's his little party trick. Just sitting there on an axle. Mechanic just rustling through the spare wheels. They may have to go and find an extra one. Seems there's a supply behind the supply. Nobody's in any particular. Certainly a source of a little bit of amusement on the Australian bench. Strange lull in proceedings. Waiting for the wheel, waiting for the score table to ensure they've got everything up to speed. Nothing unremarkable about the Australian huddle apart from the fact that Onrubia looked to be part of it. Anyway, while the officials are sorting this out, the teams are congregating in front of their respective benches. Spanish head coach carry on. It's always keen for a chat.
I think there was also actually a substitution that managed to come in with all of that break for the Australians. Tom Klein coming onto the floor.
Yeah, Moncrief taking a break after a really solid 6-minute stint. Tristan Knowles makes the first. And the second. And he'll get a third one, as it was an unsportsmanlike foul on a three-point attempt. It clangs the third one. Australia by 10. About 3 minutes remaining, first quarter. Pender drives, cut off, finds the extra pass. Jay Kavanagh, the recipient and the scorer. Spain look for the lob. Lorenzo can't get that to go. Garcia and Gelma. Looks around, left alone. Hands are very long too. Must have just been over the line there. There's another significant collision at halfway. Foul's going against Spain. Frank Pinder's already taken up residence at the free throw line. I knew what was going on. A long quarter already, Campbell. 2.5 minutes to go.
It feels like we're almost at the half already with both of the amount of action and just the amount of fouls that have been drawn in.
Vilas for Spain. Kicks it across. Ruiz, one-hand pass. Ruiz can't make that fit. Neil Thorne puts the hammer down. Lofts a pass to Pinder. Gets the softest of touches. His finger roll falls. And we're going to see an Australian timeout this time. I think Spain will be fairly pleased about that. A couple of minutes remaining. It's been all Australia. Distinct turnaround from their previous encounter. They lead 24-11. Everything running smoothly. The return of Knowles and O'Neill Thorne to the two playmaking spots has made all the difference.
Yeah, and I think that that starting five that the Australians ran really kind of unsettled the Spanish. I really like that starting lineup being a little bit taller, a little bit stronger in the paint. And just setting the tone for how the Spanish were going to have to run their offense. They really weren't able to find a lot inside, and obviously the fouls coming in pretty aggressively, and the Australians will be pretty happy with that. It's 10 fouls for the Spanish side at this point, and that's I think that was the same amount that they reached in a half in one of their earlier games. So it will be a difficult thing going into the second quarter, whether they can really pull that back in or whether they have to kind of play a little bit softer and reel themselves back in just mentally and emotionally, just find something to get simple buckets to kind of get their momentum back.
Surprisingly, it was actually Spain that called that timeout. That's their final timeout for this first half as Vilas takes matters into his own hands and just screams down the lane. Defenders all around him, but they couldn't stop the layup. Knowles. Pinder's been really effective at providing great screening coverage. Ruiz cut off. Ball back with Australia. Knowles head fakes. Uses the Pinder screen to sneak down to the baseline. Back to O'Neill Thorne. He loops it up and in. Vilas weaving in and out. Cut off by O'Neill Thorne, gets around. Exchange of passing. Ruiz the finish. Lorenzo the provider. Kavanagh for Australia. O'Neill Thorne skips a pass across. Knowles. Then to retreat for a second. Knowles nails it. Spain can almost take the last shot of the quarter. They're looking to force things and turned it over again. Lorenzo couldn't control that pass. And it's another Spanish foul. Lavandera just onto the floor, joins the foul parade.
If you're the Spanish bench, you have to be thinking, heading into the second quarter, they'll have to be pulling back on defense, really not willing to pressure up at all, just for potentially a little bit, just to kind of pull themselves back into what they know and their discipline that they know that they have. This is, I think the Rollers just getting a little bit under their skin and just kind of digging into that wound.
And Hawthorn makes the second. That's Australia's 14th free throw attempt in this first quarter. Spain, a couple of seconds to try and create something. They might just give up on that, I think. Garcia and Gelmo stuck with an 8-second violation instead, and Australia will have a tiny window to try and create something. And Australia's decided to call a timeout to try and design something. Spain is, we've noted before that they have never totally unravelled and always managed to ride out the emotional ups and downs, but they're pretty much on tilt at the moment.
Yeah, it really looks like the Rollers have really pushed it to them, and potentially just after a few games of collecting fouls and being in a pretty uncomfortable position. Obviously, they've had a really good run scoring wise, but potentially just getting a little bit too ahead of themselves and needing to kind of bring back those core basics and go back to what they know and what they can rely on.
Spain rolls back onto the floor. Let's see what head coach Brad Ness has designed for this short clock final shot situation. O'Neill Thorne, Knowles launches straight into three. There's 0.2 of a second still on the clock. That'll be pretty academic. Spain will be happy to just inbound the ball and head to the quarter time break, as we will, but it's been all Australia. Australia 29, Spain 15, and we'll be back shortly.
Get what you really want with the new look Ford Ranger Wild Track. With its power roller shutter, stunning matrix LEDs, and premium B&O 10-speaker sound system. And you'll also get a 4K fuel card. That's 4K to take you on even bigger adventures. Available at your participating Ford dealer now.
What's up everyone, Jalen Brown here. I'm currently over in Turkey for the 25-26 Turkish League. I'm excited to get back and kick off this new era of wheelchair basketball with you all. The 2026 season is going to be something special. Make sure you're following along here for updates while I'm overseas.
Welcome back to the Australian Institute of Sports Centre of Excellence. Quarter time, and the strangest contest we've seen thus far. Spain have been fouling like there's no tomorrow. They've committed 12 personal fouls in the first half, would you believe? Consequently, Australia have taken 14 free throw attempts. They've been able to pressure immeasurably. Spain just showing some signs of creaking. Trail by 14 as we get set for the second half. Campbell, is there a way back for the Spanish?
I think there's absolutely a way back there. They're better than this. I think it's a simple thing to say, but they're better than the way that they've been acting in this game so far. They absolutely have it within them to bring that discipline back in, and really control the way that they play, rather than letting the Rollers kind of get in their face.
Villas with a great look away there. He looked away for a fraction of a second. Tristan Knowles hesitated, like maybe he thought Villas wasn't going to go. When the lane opened up, Villas just accelerated. Took the contact, sailed out of his chair and made the layup, most importantly. Can't convert the free throw. Tom O'Neill-Thorne sneaks in. Had it. The Spanish hand pokes it away, but Australia will retain possession. O'Neill-Thorne, Knowles and Pinder haven't yet to come off the floor. Knowles weaves around, cut off. Lorenzo deflects that one out of bounds. Seven seconds on the shot clock for Australia. Kavanagh gets it into Knowles. He comes up shooting. That's off. Garcia and Gelmo struggle to get a handle on it. Eventually gets hold of it. Finds Villas inside. He scores. Margin back to 10. O'Neill-Thorne calls out of play, uses the Kavanagh screen, whips across the floor. Looks inside Pinder, gets that up so quickly. It's a real skill. Ruiz now for Spain. Pinder comes out of his chair. And it's an offensive foul again. Referee indicating I think Campbell, the Spanish player changed direction to contact Pinder.
Yeah, it's a pretty common one that you'll get away with in lower level leagues, but at the international level, that quick change of pace and especially using the hips to kind of flick into a little bit of contact gets drawn very quickly, and these referees are elite at picking that up, especially across these games. They've only gotten better.
Lavandera with that foul for Spain, trying to get over the top of the screen. Couldn't do so. Knowles looks at three. It's off. Garcia and Gelmo. Wheels out to the left. The Lorenzo screen. Comes back around. Lavandera provides a block. He weaves down to the baseline. Draws some more contact. And makes the layup. Tristan Knowles none too pleased. That'll be a second foul on him.
That was a really smart play from Lavandera, actually, underneath the basket, having cut through from the other side and finding his position, and just allowing the seal to come straight through, get underneath the basket, and really be uncontested there without the foul.
Garcia and Gelmo converts the three-point play. Knowles still shaking his head. Into O'Neill-Thorne. Flicks it back to Tristan Knowles to initiate the offense. Comes back around, thinks about the three. The defenders are going under and over, a mixture. They both go under then. Pinder with The smallest man on the floor gets hold of the rebound, but it's stripped from him. Ruiz. Lavandiera makes the layup. Time for an Australian timeout. A little bit of a vamos from the Spanish bench. As they do, as you suggested, Campbell, they're finding a way back.
Yeah, I think they're finally finding their energy, finding a little bit more of that fun energy rather than. I think they started out with a little bit of annoyance, a little bit of anger, and finally getting back into their stride. They like to play this fast style, so finally finding more of that enjoyment in it, and especially the bench getting around them. I think that's a key thing when you're losing, to have your bench really get around everything that you do right, really make sure that you know that those things that you've done right, so that you kind of have that power behind you.
Yeah, can't underestimate the positive reinforcement. The man that made that layup, Lavandiera, he's playing with 3 fouls at the moment. It's amazing there aren't more Spanish players in trouble, but they've managed to spread their plentiful fouls across the roster. Neil Thorne and Knowles exchanging notes as they come back down to get things underway for Australia. Just the early stages, second quarter, the 12th game of a 16-game extravaganza. The Rollers against the World, preparation for the World Championships to come in September. And Ottawa, Canada, both these teams involved. Australian foul that time. Pinder finds himself pinned down. Two offensive players denying him any access to the front court. Meanwhile, Ruiz operates there. He's left wide open for 3, rolls into it. Shot has a good look. Pops out. Knowles, left wing. Spies a little bit of an opening. Back to O'Neill. Thorne wheels around. Lorenzo manages to manoeuvre his chair to cut him off. Moncrief back on the floor. Can't get that to go. Garcia and Gelmo. As he spies a lane, he's cut off. Takes a dribble. Skip past. Lorenzo leans back. Nothing but net. There's definitely a few vamos cries in the background. Spanish finding their mojo. Knowles checks the seams. He's got Lavandiera on his back. He wheels around to get in front. Moncrief, reversal. O'Neill Thorne draws a double team, tries to skip it across. A hand on the pass. Knowles goes through. Steps, looks at the contact, goes to the one-hand shot. Ruiz the rebound. Another Australian foul. And as the official lets us know, that's 3 fouls for Tristan Knowles.
Yeah, that's an uncomfortable little position for him. He's generally pretty comfortable with collecting a couple fouls and playing off that, but potentially just getting that third one is not the position that he wants to be in. He's really been the helm of this team, and they kind of grow around him, and they all look stronger when he's on the court. Obviously, they do also have Tom O'Neill Thorne to kind of pull in that pressure.
Ruiz been able to find his range thus far. O'Neill Thorne with the ball. Ruiz goes down. Pinder, finger roll, just rolls off. He's so expert with that light touch on the roll. The quick release. And light touch. There's Ruiz. He'll just get himself up. He'll need to strap back in. They just delayed for a second. or two.
He's potentially got one of the higher counts of straps that I've seen on a chair. It's a very individual thing how you set up your chair. You'll see a lot of different chairs. Obviously, if you're looking for an interesting one, when Tom Klein comes back on, the bucket seat that he's in, kind of sculpted to his body. But it's always a funny thing to see a player go back in and take a couple minutes to kind of get themselves back in position.
Yeah, it's one of the beauties of the game, I like to think, Campbell, that there's roles and capacity for everybody in wheelchair basketball. Ruiz leans back, has a clear height advantage, can't get that to go. Moncrief the rebound, tips it down to O'Neill Thorne. He's almost left open for three. Jordan Bartley onto the floor, does release a three, and that's good. Almost his first touch. Pinder might have been lucky to get away with that, no contact. Garcia and Gelmo uses the inside hand to protect the ball, makes the layup. Thorne barking out instructions. A big Moncrief screen at the top, looks for that three. Definitely Moncrief presents a large obstacle as a screener. Garcia and Gelmo drives into a cul-de-sac. Manages to get back around. Pinder comes to defend him. Garcia and Gelmo with a significant height advantage. Not so now as Moncrief comes to help. He gets down to the baseline, manages to release the shot, gets his own rebound, forces it up, draws more contact.
That's an incredible drive there. That's one of the great things that you'll see a lot of the point players, especially in the wheelchair game. They put that shot up, and as it's in the air, they've already dropped their head and they're driving for that rebound. It's a really, really satisfying thing to see, and especially when it pays off so well.
It's an old theory that the shooter's the one that knows where that shot's exactly going, and free throw missed. Lorenzo ducks in. Australia went to sleep for a second. Lorenzo makes a layup and draws a foul. This is almost a direct reverse of what we saw in the first quarter. The Spanish tidal wave coming, and Australia's being washed off the beach. Lorenzo misses that. Ball tipped around. O'Neill Thorne manages to reel it in. Australia by two. Ball tipped away. Back caught a bit of Jordan Bartley's arm on the way. Another Australian turnover. Playing to inbound. Lorenzo. Big height advantage. He can release that whenever he likes. Can't get it to go. O'Neill Thorne. Rebound. Ben Moncrief almost spins out of his chair. Stays upright. Jordan Bartley. Drives middle. Cut off. Help arrives. O'Neill Thorne. Thought about three. Moncrief middle. Looks for an extra pass. Jordan Bartley spins around. Makes the layup.
That's beautiful chair control from Jordan Bartley. He got into that drive and was almost spinning as the pass was coming into his face, and able to control it, get himself set, and put that shot up.
Vilas ducks under a couple of hands. Not to release a shot. It was deflected out of bounds by Australia. Spain will retain possession. See and Gelmo to initiate things. Gets it back. Good shot fake. Moncrief doesn't quite want to come out on him. Lavandera tried to go with the little left-hand skyhook. It only caught the bottom of the rim. O'Neill Thorne. Vilas scrambles to get after him. O'Neill Thorne, a bit of space. Launches. Off. Garcia and Gelmo weaves, takes another dribble. Back to Lavandera. He skips it across to Lorenzo. His shot goes in and out. Couple of minutes remaining. What's been an enthralling and very opposite second quarter. Tom O'Neill looks at the three, fakes, drives middle. Bit of contact, finds Moncrief driving down the middle. The referee pulls it up before Moncrief can pull the trigger.
Ben Moncrief was very unlucky there to draw that foul. It almost looked like he was going to bulldoze his way and really force those defenders to pull back. But they held their line, and obviously drawing in that foul, they weren't in position. I think he saw that gap in front of him just slowly closing and trying to find his way through.
Australia goes to their bench. Ethan Laird, Luke Popel, Sam White onto the floor. Australian ball from the baseline. A little over 2 minutes remaining. Neil Thorne skips back to Popel. It's a bit of a shimmy, gets in the middle of the lane. Ruiz comes to guard him. Jordan Bartley finds some contact.
That was a really smart little post up there. He was going for that shot, looking at it, and saw that the defender was actually fully leaning towards him. Knew that contact had to come in. So he just waited to put that shot up as the hand came pretty much aggressively across his arm.
Can't make the first. Makes the second. It's Jeremy Tyndall that came on, not Sam White there for Australia. He's playing with the three fouls. Ruiz with the ball for Spain. Left alone. He just can't get it to go today. He's been extremely reliable throughout the event. Offensive foul. Lavandiera managing to manoeuvre his chair expertly.
You can hear Coach Brad Ness in the background just saying, "Move the ball, don't get caught with the ball." And it's one of those things that when you're playing a little bit down, when you're not feeling quite perfect, you kind of lock your head down and want to play your own little game. Brad Ness just saying, "No, get it away from you, move it on."
Garcia and Gelmo, little head fake drive, can't get the shot to go. Neil Thorne, both teams in the bonus now. Any fouls? Just a minute and 15 seconds remaining. Jordan Bartley short on that three, but it caroms out to Tom O'Neill Thorne. Spanish block out, not what it should have been there. Neil Thorne just asked for a break in play, just adjusting his chair. Officials granted that. No reset of the shot clock as it was initiated by Australia. They've got 9, ticking down to 7. Popel's shot is a little askew in distance and direction. Garcia and Gelmo gives the signal they're going to run the one offense. He wheels around. Players rotating around him. Villas makes the shot. He was left totally naked there. Spain draws within 3. Closing stages, second quarter. A rollicking affair from the Australian Institute of Sport. Rollers against the world. Popel looks inside. Some heavy contact there. Jordan Bartley takes a tumble. Ethan Laird just checking on him. Giving him a second to Pop himself up. Just dusts himself off. Checks that he's still attached in his chair. With 20 seconds remaining. Once he's done that, he'll take 2 free throws. Right, we're good to go. Bartley good with the first. And the second. Spain can take the last shot of the quarter here and the last shot of the half. As long as they don't turn it over, which they did. O'Neill Thornton behind the back pass. The layup won't go. But Popel keeps it alive. Ball skips out. O'Neill Thornton thought he was going to shoot the 3. Popel inside. Can't get the layup to go, but he did draw some contact. Catastrophe, that last possession from Spain. Way too casual.
And that's probably the best way that the Rollers could ask for to look towards the end of the half. They're just getting under the skin of the Spanish team again, and just making sure that they remember where they're at, and that Australia's still ahead, and they'll finish on the line.
Officials have put 1 second back on the clock, which will be pretty much academic. Luke Popel makes both. Somehow the Australian margin's back out to 7. Garcia and Gelmo holds the ball, holds his arms in the air. Can't believe he turned it over on the previous possession, but that'll do us. First half, Australia 41, Spain 34. And we'll be back in just a moment.
Get what you really want with the all-new Ford Everest Active 4x4. Value-packed with 12-inch touchscreen, black exterior styling and 18-inch alloys. All from just $60,000 drive away. Get the Everest Active at participating Ford dealers.
I was really lucky to cross paths with wheelchair basketball when I was 15 years old. I fell in love with the sport.
I was doing horse riding and I wanted to play a team sport, and my mum came across wheelchair basketball and I just grew to love it. My muscles have grown stronger, so I'm able to do a lot more things now because of basketball. Yeah, it just helped me a lot in life. I would love to play at the Brisbane 2032 Paralympics and represent the country.
I wasn't 21 until I made my first Australian team, so you got plenty of time. The most important thing is that you just enjoy your basketball.
By rolling out the start line, we want to build a framework where anyone that wants to become involved in parasport can find and navigate their way through to the opportunity that's local, that suits their needs.
Parasport's the best. You meet people that are just like you.
Times can be really tough. You're going to have some really frustrating days. It's okay to ask for help, but I promise you things do get better, and Paralympic sport can play a huge role in that.
Have a go. When we move out of our comfort zone, we surprise ourselves.
Not in my wildest dreams did I imagine that direction my life has taken, and I'm extremely thankful for it.
Just try it. You'll just grow to love it, and you could probably play for your country.
Hey everyone, I'm Tom O'Neill Thorne. Tune in this weekend as the Rollers take on the world.
Get what you really want with the all-new Ford Ranger Wolf Track V6, featuring bold styling, 17-inch alloys and all-terrain tyres, all from just $73,000 drive away. Ranger Wolf Track at participating Ford dealers while stocks last.
Welcome to this very special occasion, a celebration of the 2000 Australian Paralympic team.
It's so great just for everyone to come together and reminisce, and it's like a massive reunion.
To be here with everyone's just so special. It makes me almost cry with joy.
So wonderful to be back here after 25 years. So many people that got to share such unforgettable memories because it was the first time we had the Paralympic Games in Australia.
We all have a bond that can't be broken because we all experience something that is a part of our lives.
All of what we're here for, we have to develop the athletes, the kids with disabilities, to believe that they can achieve.
Sydney 2000 showed that the Paralympic Games can be as good as a host city chooses to make them. It filled stadiums, it filled arenas. It set the benchmark for the athlete experience.
Sydney 2000 changed everything. Let's just take the Paralympic movement to a place where it had never been before.
People with disabilities can, and I think Sydney said to us, we can.
Australia changed the face of Paralympic sport forever, and I couldn't be prouder.
My favourite memory from the Sydney 2000 Paralympic Games was actually carrying the torch into the stadium for the opening ceremony of the Games. Before I was about to carry the torch, there was going to be 2.2 billion television viewers.
The advice to the athletes is seize all the opportunity you have. The athletes that assembled here today are an example of the hard work and the legacy that can be left by a group that's come well before you. The best way that you can honour, respect and thank the past is to make sure you take care of the future by working hard and embracing every opportunity that you have at the moment.
What's up everyone, Channel Brown here. I'm currently over in Turkey for the 25-26 Turkish League. I'm excited to get back and kick off this new era of wheelchair basketball with you all. The 2026 season is going to be something special. Make sure you're following along here for updates while I'm overseas.
Get what you really want with the value-packed Ford Ranger Black Edition 4x4 with bedliner, 12-inch touchscreen, 17-inch alloys and all-terrain tyres. All from just $53,000 drive away. Get the Ranger Black Edition at participating Ford dealers.
Wheelchair basketball emerged shortly after World War II after it was developed by injured servicemen. It became a foundation Paralympic sport at the 1960 Games and is now one of the world's most recognisable wheelchair sports. Athletes who play wheelchair basketball have a physical impairment. All players use a wheelchair to compete, although some don't use a wheelchair in everyday life. The court dimensions and basket height for wheelchair basketball are the same as the able-bodied version of the sport, as is the playing time and number of players on court. Wheelchair basketball classifications range between 1 and 4.5 points. Players with a classification of 1.0 have the highest level of impairment, while players in the 4.5 point class have the highest level of physical function to be eligible for the sport. The wheelchairs used during a game are specially designed to support players and help them move around the court. During a match, the classifications of the 5 players on the court are added together and must reach a total of no more than 14 points. The object of the game is to score the most points in the opposing team's basket. The team with the most points by the time the clock expires wins. Wheelchair basketball is a contact sport. The sport is so fast that it can be difficult for athletes to stop in time, meaning contact is inevitable and can result in some spectacular collisions. While contact is permitted and even encouraged, head-on collisions are strictly forbidden and can result in fouls or even ejection from the game. For more information on wheelchair basketball, visit paralympic.org.au.
Welcome back to the AIS Centre of Excellence for the last half of the last game on day 3. The Blue Rollers against the World Challenge. It's been all Australia in the first quarter, then all Spain for most of the second quarter. Australia managed to sneak away again. As we look at some of the highlights from the first half, Tristan Knowles was fantastic until he picked up his third foul. And Villas there for Spain was a bit of a revelation scoring-wise. Villas in transition, this is a great and one. Here he is again. And Moncrief solid with the assist pass there. Campbell, what do you think of the things to look out for as we head into the second half? The foul trouble for Knowles, clearly one of the issues for Australia.
Yeah, the foul troubles certainly for Knowles. Foul troubles on pretty much everyone at this point on the Spanish side. I think the one to look out for on the side of the Rollers is actually Jordan Bartley. I think he's looked really strong across the couple games that he's played. I think he's gotten stronger every time, and he's actually becoming quite valuable in the scoring. For the Australian Rollers, he's the second highest scorer behind Tristan Knowles. Obviously, we know Knowles has to take a bit of a breather and be a little bit safer now. So it really gives Jordan Bartley a chance to shine and potentially look to play. He plays a similar role that Tristan Knowles does in that he draws a lot of that contact. And obviously, we know the Spanish don't have too much contact that they can play with now. So potentially, this will give him a chance to really run away.
Startling statistic from those raw numbers. We could see there was 15 free throw makes for Australia to just the 1 point for Spain. Anyway, we're underway. And Kristen, unable to get that shot up, eventually turned it over. He rolled expertly. And Neil Thorne has it poked away. Frank Pinder, always full of effort and energy. Knowles is back on the floor with those 3 fouls. Goes Glass. Opens the scoring for the second half. Ortega for Spain. They played just about 7 minutes in the first half. Prieto. Monrubia. Snap pass inside to Prieto. He clangs it off the bottom of the rim. Almost went too quickly there. Neil Thorne looks ahead. Moncrief unable to reel it in. Lorenzo there with the deflection. Knowles gets us underway. Neil Thorne. Back to Knowles. Some more contact.
Potentially be the Spanish defense just getting a little bit aggressive there, and especially with the mismatches. Prieto currently guarding Frank Pinder, and that's probably not the swap that they want in that 2-man game that's running on that side. They've, as I say that, they've swapped more into what you would expect. And won't be able to find that inside. Spanish looking for the inside shot. That won't go, and again the rebound coming the Australian way. It's being a little too comfortable underneath the basket. Long pass doesn't quite make it to Moncrief. Spanish again looking for an option on Rubio. Ortega from 3, won't find it. They will come up with the rebound, and they won't. Prieto almost connecting there, trying to find the rebound. And, potentially that's a little bit emblematic of the way that the Spanish have been operating so far. Just a little bit chaotic, kind of rushing the things that they've wanted to play, and the Australians really forcing some errors into their style, and just being a little bit more of a well-oiled machine on their offense.
Neil Thorne fumbles that one away, falls out of his chair. Spanish coach is crestfallen. Potential opportunity for Spain there. Safety the paramount concern of the official. On Rubia. Almost gets around Pinder. Ortega whips it around. Back to Onrubia. Takes a balancing dribble. Shot off the front. Pinder, the rebound. Neil Thorne leaking out. Back to Knowles. Get it to go. Lorenzo held up. Prieto. Forces it forward to Ortega. He wheels around. O'Neill Thorne comes to get after him. He's screened away. On Rubio. Shot clock down to 6. Over to Lorenzo. Can't get it to go. Knowles. Coming the other way. Picked up by Kristen. He dribbles expertly into a bank shot. Makes it. More collisions. And another offensive foul assist on Spain as they attempt to get out of the backcourt. Foul count mounting up all over the place for Spain. Sam White comes onto the floor at number 1 for Australia. Played about a minute and a half in the first half. Knowles drives middle. Kicks across. Then Moncrief goes boom from 3. It's a bit of an inverted offense there. Ortega drives middle. Gets around. Finds Lorenzo. Can't get it to go. He can't believe it. The Spanish get a hand, a deflection. Put the ball back. Back to Prieto. He's left wide open. Has to shoot that. Comes up short. Moncrief the rebound. Neil Thorne to Knowles. Cut off by Onrubia. Puts his head down. And slapping at the ball all over the place. Back out to O'Neill Thorne. Looks at 3. Sails a bit long. And we'll head to a Spanish timeout. Spain just lost their equilibrium for about the last 2 minutes and the lead's ballooned out to 14.
Yeah, they just look really uncomfortable there. I think the Australians really focusing on the deficiencies that the Spanish are showing at the moment. There was a moment there with Prieto having almost an open baseline shot, and Denmark pretty much staring him down and choosing not to jump him, almost daring him to take that shot so that he won't hit it. He's been a little inconsistent throughout this game. The mind game's just getting a little bit strong for the Spanish.
As we look on at the Spanish huddle, Coach carry on that tiny whiteboard there, drawing, talking. There must be a conversation start at the whiteboard. I don't know how many people can see exactly what's going on there.
You have to imagine the pressure that's just being pushed onto that whiteboard. I imagine the marks that are being left in that whiteboard at this point. So I hope there's one or two in the back pocket in case anything happens.
Sounds like you're speaking from experience, Campbell. I've seen many coaches just stabbing the whiteboard with the marker. Ortega left open. Strangely doesn't want to shoot that three. On Rubia has all day to shoot that two. Does just a little hesitation. So the Spanish shooters at the moment. Brought about by the Australian pressure. Freddy goes back to Moncrief at the elbow. O'Neill Thorne weaves. Looks at Moncrief again. The Spanish switch up, but Prieto a fraction late to arrive. And that defensive switch, Moncrief makes another. And Rubia thought about the three, wheels back around. And just go under again. He nails it very long too. I would presume that's a tactic to encourage on Rubia to shoot. He's had a couple of breakout games shooting-wise already this tournament. Knowles looks to split, back to Moncrief on the elbow. That's been their go-to at the moment, jump ball. Possession arrow will leave the ball with Australia.
And I think that's a smart decision to get that jump ball pretty quickly, and just make sure to kind of control the tempo that the game runs at this point. Both teams getting a little bit strong, and potentially the referees just wanting to pull back on those fouls that are being committed and really control for a second.
Might have looked like a reckless heave from Moncrief there, but the shot clock was such that it demanded an almost instantaneous catch and shoot. Won't do anything for his shooting percentages, but it was a shot that he had to take for the team. As Rubia throws a clever pass inside to Lorenzo, who's fouled. He acknowledges Rubia. Just before the shot. Frank Pinder takes a blow. He's been tremendous. Just a spark plug, both ends of the floor. All in, Prieto. On Rubia, launches a three. Not far off. O'Neill Thorne surveys the floor. Goes across right to left. Back to Moncrief. They've been utilising him almost exclusively off that elbow. Knowles draws some contact. Spanish coach carry on hoping for an offensive foul to be the fourth on Knowles. I think it was an optimistic assessment.
I think the coaching staff always have to hope that it doesn't run against them.
I think any chance to have Knowles off the floor would please them as well. He runs a handoff at Tom O'Neill Thorne. Looks across, finds Moncrief just living, set up camp on that elbow. Got the tent, the billy out. Campfire going. He's fouled there and head to the free throw line. He really has, Campbell. He's just moved from one elbow to the other.
Yeah, I think he's across this weekend. He's found his position in that elbow as well as inside, obviously, and he knows that if he can hit from there, and if the only person that's going to jump in it was Kristen, being not nearly tall enough to contest him, he'll happily take that shot every day.
Moncrief makes the first. I shouldn't be flippant. It's a really difficult spot to play. You're right in the teeth of the defence. Defenders generally behind you and in front of you. It's quite the skill level to be able to make decisions from there. When Rubia gets in the paint, Moncrief showing something defensively, knocks that pass away. It's intended for Prieto. Ball's in. Prieto. Surely. Ortega finally makes one. A quiet night for him. Just the 7 points. Knowles taking his time. Ortega comes to him. He reverses. O'Neill Thorne Looks inside. Finds Jeremy Tyndall rolling. He's in the perfect spot to make that layup. And Rubia thinks about rolling into a 3. Instead, it's a bullet pass to Prieto. It's fouled by O'Neill Thorne. Tom's second. Prieto misses both. That won't help the Spanish comeback. Moncrief thinks he's a point guard for a second, weaving in and out. Finds Knowles now. O'Neill Thorne. Cut off by Rubia. Contact again. On the weak side of the floor, it was Jeremy Tyndall assessed with the foul. Trying to free up Knowles. Australia's just realised it's Spanish ball. The Spanish players happy to pin Tom O'Neill Thorne in the backcourt. And Rubia, you see the cavalry arriving now. Another Australian foul. It's their 4th. Next one, they'll be in the bonus. And Spain will be in the bonus, shooting free throws. And Rubia flips it in. Clumsy turnover. I think it's ruled a kick ball. Campbell, is that correct?
Yeah, that's a really unfortunate little situation. Tristan Knowles just trying to reach down, and the ball being a little too close to his front bar. So one of the more unfortunate ways that you can fall forward. The ball clipping between the chair and the floor will be considered essentially kicking the ball.
Ortega just threw a lightning bolt like he was Thor there. Straight through the lane. Nobody could get a hand on it. Somehow Australian fingertip did touch it. Spain will retain the ball. Looked a little out of sorts tonight, Ortega. Maybe that 40-point outing the last time these two teams met messed with his mind a bit. Lorenzo inside. Makes that 2. Spain down by 11. Got a mountain to climb again. Just 2.5 minutes remaining, 3rd quarter. They've done it once already in this game. Moncrief, O'Neill Thorne. Knowles down in the corner, holding it on his left hip. O'Neill Thorne launches into a 3. A high degree of difficulty there on the move. On Rubia. Lorenzo with the layup.
Lorenzo's been a really important bring back for the Spanish squad. He brings so much pace and so much court intelligence. He looks for those seals every time that his team is setting them, and really finds a way under the basket. I think he's in there almost every offense.
O'Neill Thorne lob. Moncrief throws for contact. Everybody in the building appeals for the continuation. Moncrief felt the whack across the head, launched up something, and went straight in.
I think you'd be very lucky to get that continuation. Unfortunately, it was. I think he had time to kind of feel the wound, feel the hit, look up, and then take the shot.
Yeah, Spanish coach Carrion's eyes almost popped out of his head at the thought they might call that continuation. His touch has been exceptional tonight at the free throw line. Prieto gets it in. Haven't seen much of Garcia Quiles. That was the first time in number 17 tonight for Spain. He's been a pretty key contributor in some of the other games. On Rubia. Pops it in. He's got his own distinctive shooting style, low release.
There was clearly actually a call out from Tristan Knowles just then. He was calling we're jumping 8, and that's exactly why. That's on Rubio. And almost too threatening in that position. You leave him open just for even a split second, and he's hurting the Australian defense.
That man with the ball now, weaves around. He weaved a little too far. He's got a wheel on the sideline. Looks down ruefully, shrugs the shoulders. And now he's pinned in. He's going to have to wait to loop around and join the defense. Frank Pinder back on the floor. Goes middle. There's a pass that's just out of the reach. And that'll do us for the end of the third quarter. Australia 55, holding a comfortable lead again over Spain 46. We will be back in a moment.
Get what you really want with the new look Ford Ranger Wild Track. With its power roller shutter, stunning matrix LEDs, and premium B&O 10-speaker sound system. And you'll also get a 4K fuel card. That's 4K to take you on even bigger adventures. Available at your participating Ford dealer now.
Hey everyone, I'm Tommy Neil Thorne. Tune in this weekend as the Rollers take on the world.
Welcome back to the AUS Centre of Excellence for the final quarter of action. Australia holding a 9-point advantage over Spain. Campbell, it's a little hard to describe all the foul trouble the Spanish team are in. Suffice to say that Australia has attempted 24 free throw attempts to Spain's 6. And it's a good thing they have 12 players on their roster.
Yeah, the Spanish have been in a really... just in a little bit of a messy situation with the way that they're playing, especially on their defensive side. They've obviously forced a lot of fouls and gone to the free throw line. They're at 23 fouls across the team. Luckily, only one player, Prieto, standing with a few, or rather, actually, a couple standing with a few. But potentially not a situation that they're unaware of and unused to. But something that they'll have to take into account in how they kind of shore up this deficit.
As the Spanish miss a couple of easy attempts inside. To start the quarter, Tristan Knowles wheels around and makes a layup. Just increase the difficulty of the task confronting the Spanish. Lavandiera. Garcia Angelmo kicks it ahead. Lorenzo finds a streaking Lavandiera. (57-48). Last quarter, 12th game of it's the end of the third day of the 5-day series. Australia against the world. Spain, Australia, Italy and Japan, 4 of the qualifiers for September's World Championships to be held in Ottawa, Canada. All getting a chance to stress test their lineups prior to making a final selection. Australia in the green, of course. Spain in the red uniforms. Australia with the ball and the 9-point advantage. Tristan Knowles weaves down. Nice glass, way too strong. Ruiz is going baseball. Another of a multitude of collisions we've had in mid-court. Ruiz appealing for an unsportsmanlike foul. Officials aren't convinced. It'll just be a common foul on Ben Moncrief.
Yeah, I think that's one that won't often get upgraded to an unsportsmanlike, but it always looks a little bit ugly when it's two of the bigger guys on court taking pretty hard and fast falls like that.
Lavandera off to Garcia Angelmo. Ruiz drives middle. Finds Garcia Angelmo. He can't finish. Moncrief at the outlet. Knowles and O'Neill Thorne running a 2-man game in transition. Knowles just can't finish. He's travelling so quickly. Ruiz finally gets one to go. Just 4 points for him in tonight's contest. Knowles up and racing. That's another offensive foul in the backcourt. It's hard to know where to look sometimes. There's so much action going on in transition, but in the backcourt there's an equally strategic game of chess about who can let who go.
That's one of the things of the wheelchair game. The ability to press and really control players is much more prominent, with the ability to fully stop a player from moving, and you see that a lot with backcourt pressure, and that can lead to a lot of fouls that happen completely off ball.
Ruiz shoots a 3-pointer, which is well short. I think he felt he almost had to take that one. The defence just didn't honour him at all. Knowles kicks to Moncrief to bid the pressure. Moncrief, handoff, O'Neill Thorne, wheels around, looks for Moncrief back on the elbow, set up camp there again. It's off. Ruiz pushing, scanning behind him and in front. Lavandera's been assessed with an offensive foul. Ruiz has a chat with somebody in the crowd about that foul.
That's a pretty unlucky foul to pick up there. I think it was almost one of those situations where at least I wouldn't be confident calling either way, with both players moving at speed, and I think it was arguably just a cut in front and wasn't quite giving enough space. There is a rule in wheelchair basketball with how much space you have to be in front by before you can take over the lane of the person next to you. Eventually that space wasn't given.
Anyway, that's the end of the night for Lavandera. His 5th foul. It's the first of the Spanish players to foul out. Not that I'm expecting a few, but there's certainly some players on the tightrope. Moncrief off the elbow. Can't get it to go. Ortega streaking down, cuts middle. Beautiful change of direction, finishes. Turns around and gives Moncrief a stare. That was definitely a vamos of the Spanish bench.
Imagine these players are experienced enough to know not to say anything to each other particularly, but there was a very clear kind of look up and stare for a quick second between the two.
Nothing more malicious than that. Ortega completes the 3-point play. Mass huddle in the backcourt. Moncrief peels away with it. O'Neill Thorne. Cut off by Kristen. Back to Knowles, who thinks three. He's fake. Looks around. Here's a bank shot he likes and makes. On Rubia. Gets around O'Neill Thorne. White comes to help. Exchange of passing inside. Prieto can't get the first one to go, but he does the second. O'Neill Thorne. Moncrief camped on that elbow again with his 4 personal fouls now. There he is, right at home.
I think the Spanish defense just getting a little bit scared of the couple fouls that they've got to protect. They know Lorenzo and Ortega are both sitting on 4 fouls, so potentially not even being willing to jump at Moncrief there.
Prieto makes a layup. Moncrief, knowing that he was on 4 fouls, just allowed him to do so. A bit of a limiting factor defensively as we see a timeout to Australia. With the large squad all coming onto the floor there to greet their team. It's almost like it was the end of the game.
You would hope that the Australian squad aren't getting too ahead of themselves at this point. They're still winning, but only just, and I think they're aware of the tricks that the Spanish can pull pretty quickly.
I think there's undoubtedly a large emotional component to this result tonight, given the significance of Spain's runaway win in the first game between these two teams. Australia's, I think their ability to run a different lineup this morning. They've gone back to what you would probably call the A lineup tonight. I think from a psychological point of view, they would feel that it's important that they demonstrate they can beat the European champions.
Yeah, and potentially it is a little bit of that pride and that strength. Just wanting to say, we accept the loss that we got, we accept what that score was, but that's not the end of the story here, and we're not going to take it lying down, especially not at the home ground.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a 50% chance these two teams will finish up in the same pool at the World Championships. I think people always remember the previous contests. O'Neill Thorne, hands off. Knowles takes a very wide route. Inside, Moncrief just camped on the elbow, as he's been all game. Ortega, bit of a fumble, gets through. There's a 360 after contact from Sam White. That'll be Australia's 4th team foul. There's still 5 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. They're in the bonus. Spain will be shooting free throws from now on. Prieto inside. Another bullet pass. Moncrief came flying out of his chair there. Just gets himself strapped back in. He's still soldiering on with the 4 personal fouls. Undoubtedly kick to Knowles and go and camp out on one of the elbows. Prieto's trying to prevent him from doing that. O'Neill Thorne across to Moncrief, draws some contact. Prieto raises his hand. Almost like a little chess match within the game there.
Yeah, between the two real bigs of the teams, Prieto and Ben Moncrief, they're really struggling to kind of control each other on both ends of the floor. Obviously, we saw Ben Moncrief have that fall on the defensive side. And then Prieto not quite able to control, as Ben Moncrief obviously is trying to get to that elbow spot that he's been so consistent from.
Moncrief misses a free throw. It's not something he's done very much tonight. On Rubia. Prieto sets a rather large screen in front of him. And Rubia to Lorenzo. Somehow bobbles back to Prieto. But the basket's waved away. No, the basket is going to count. The fact they've inbounded the ball from the baseline. If that had been waved off, they would have gone to the sideline. They looked at the first glance that the official was waving off the basket. You'll see another offensive foul. This time on Australia.
I think the call actually was waved away, and it was a 3-second violation.
Okay. It's strange that the official should have taken the ball to the sideline, only made basket, just to confirm to the score table. No matter, anyway. Ortega's fouled inside.
Should give credit where credit is due with Lorenzo picking up a rebound just before. He's entered the double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds, and not particularly looking like he'll stop.
Yeah, he's been sorely missed in the previous few games. Ortega makes that second free throw. They've done it again, Spain. They've dragged their way back into the contest. Down by just one. Knowles scans the floor. Gets it to Bartley. Back to Knowles. Bartley flips his screen so Knowles can keep moving. Look like running down as the bench is letting everybody know. Tom O'Neill-Thorne's three is short. He scrambles in. He was the first one that knew that was short. Got the offensive rebound. Dr. Knowles, shot clock pressure again. It's almost constant. Game's at a really high tempo now. O'Neill-Thorne's three's long. Rebound up for grabs. Volleyball spiked. Back to Prieto, who runs into Ortega. That can't be a foul. The two players from the one team. Prieto skips across to Onrubia. He looks at two. Goes glass. Spanish bench has erupted. They take the lead. A little over 3 minutes remaining. Knowles fakes. Wheels around. Kicks to O'Neill-Thorne. He controls in his left hand. Back to Jordan Bartley. Ortega sticks with him. Pinder's there as well, trying to screen, but he's probably getting in the road. Shot clock expires. Vamos rings out across the stadium. Spanish, they play with such tremendous emotion. This game has truly been a roller coaster, Campbell. We've seen the Spanish down and up and down. They're definitely on one of the peaks at the moment. Who knows what lies ahead?
I think this is one of the things that the Spanish are so good at is just capitalizing on when they know that they're at their strength, and really focusing on when they're doing well, and especially when the Australians are looking just a little bit softer, even with Ben Moncrief, knowing that he had those fouls and looking to play a little bit softer of a defense, and they are just running it.
Ortega somehow reels that one back in, can't get it, looks at the offensive rebound. Balls to O'Neill-Thorne. Kavanagh's probably going to have to pull things up here. He wheels around, finds Knowles, he drifts across the floor. Tries to plea for calmness. Looks at three. Tantalising, goes in and out. Lorenzo the rebound. And Rubia. Prieto draws some contact. Immediately gives his own call of unsportsmanlike. I don't think that'll be the case.
I think he would be very lucky to get that called unsportsmanlike with Tom O'Neill-Thorne not having too much control of his chair, but the hand in the air, fully going for the ball and trying to contest that pass.
Right, so setting the scene. 2 minutes and just a little more than you can see on the screen there. 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. Australia's called a timeout. Spain will be at the free throw line, leading by 1. Coach carry on. He's got the whiteboard out again. Yeah, I think it's more of, he's not really, oh no, here he goes. He's going to diagram, maybe he's going to diagram something. No, he's still chatting. Be awfully hard to see from way back there if you were, say, Prieto. And holding a small whiteboard horizontal to the floor. I'm sure the verbal explanation is the thrust of the timeout. His very expressive voice and body language. Prieto does a little bit of stretching as he rolls his way back to the line. Takes the deepest of breaths. That shot sits up there for what must have seemed an eternity. And rolls away. He stabs at the second one. A really awkward looking release. O'Neill-Thorne often rolling for Australia. Thought he saw a lane. Goes in and out. It's cut off by Kristen. Ball gets to the middle. Tom Kyle onto the floor. Tom Klein onto the floor. Beg your pardon. Can't get that to go. He's in a perfect spot on Rubia. Left alone. Thinks better of that shot. Throws a dart. Prieto. And 1. I think everybody in the building thought on Rubia was going to shoot that.
That's a fantastic showing from Prieto. He's really elite at drawing that contact when he comes in as the big strong, especially with Tom Klein in front of him. Tom Klein sits quite tall and he's got broad shoulders, but he is relatively light in his chair. He draws contact quite quickly.
Justin Nelson squeezed the life out of that ball before he inbounded it. A little frustration, letting it out. Spain by 4. Miles thinks about 3. Reverses Jake Kavanagh. Inside, Frank Pinder can't get it to go. Ortega the rebound. Backcourt pressure on him. He's able to hold it up high enough, but he's turned it over. Frank Pinder scrambles after it. Gets it to O'Neill-Thorne. Back to Knowles. Spanish alert enough to try and deny the 3-point attempt. Kavanagh goes back door. Knowles finds him.
That's a fantastic drive from Jake Kavanagh, finding that inside line, and that's the second time in a row that the Spanish have left that defense open. Really being worried a bit more about the 3 and just those inside points.
Another pass inside of Taker, can't get it to go. He appeals for a foul. Nothing doing. The Australian ball. Just 55 seconds remaining. Australia trails by 2. O'Neill-Thorne wheels around, back to Knowles. Lorenzo comes to meet him. He looks inside, ball deflected. Lorenzo gets hold of it. Chance for a leak out on Rubia. better of it. Happy to run some clock with a 2-point lead. Pitches it across. Ortega, Lorenzo, back to Rubia. Spanish being very patient here. Shots off. Knowles the rebound. O'Neill Thorne. Spanish desperately need at least one stop here. Australia desperately need a score. Got a halt in play. A couple of chairs locked up. It's probably pretty convenient. Good for the game. That'll give Australia a chance to call a timeout. Try and devise something to get the score they so desperately need.
That's they'll be pretty happy to take that chance, but it's a brutal thing to watch the game be ready for the kind of fast pace that both teams are putting out, and that quick little stop. It's kind of been the name of the game here is stop start with all the fouls that have come through, and neither team really able to find their real run. I mean, the Spanish in this last quarter have looked incredibly strong, but still. They're still getting contested a little bit, and obviously playing around those fouls that they've had collected for this entire quarter. They've done really well. I think only one or two fouls coming in for players that really mattered for it.
Yeah, it's amazing they haven't lost more than one player to foul trouble. Right, so Australia will have the ball from the sideline. Interesting to see if they're thinking 2 or 3 here, or just best shot. Ethan Laird has been inserted into the lineup. Certainly one of the offensive spark plugs the Rollers possess. Ball's inbounded though, O'Neill Thorne. Pass is almost poked away. Shot clock running down. That is a heave of epic proportions. Have to be taken. And that'll do us.
The absolute roar that came out of the Spanish bench. I think they were, for that entire game, they were pretty up in arms about how the game was going, both on their end and potentially as well as how the Rollers were playing extremely well and really down to the wire there.
Yeah, I'm sure head coach Brad Ness is a tricky one. Only had a few seconds there of clock available to the Australians, and the Spanish jumped those first couple of passes. There was a bobble. Tristan Knowles got left. It would have been a spectacular game winner if he could have made it. It was probably a 30-foot hook shot from the floor as he picked the ball up, but it was wide. And Spain have found a way to win again. Something they've demonstrated over and over, and probably no surprise the fact that they went unbeaten through the European Championships. They're a deep squad with a nice mix of... we were saying before that there's quite a few elder statesmen in the squad, but they've managed to start blending some youth in there and found a way to get out of this game. We look at the raw statistical numbers. The top line significant. Spain with 30 successful 2-point attempts to Australia's 18. Of course, you only have to jump down a couple of lines to find out how that could be possible in a close game, and you see Australia scoring 19 points from the free throw line to the Spanish 5. And anything else that catches your eye there, Campbell?
I think also acknowledging that's 19 out of 26, 73%. That's a fantastic way for the Australians to look. The Spanish are going from 5 from 12, really not capitalizing on that, and particularly I think that's something for the Australians to be really focusing on. That is their way forward. That's their way to score against a team like Spain if they're going to bring that aggression and bring that play style. Focusing on really making sure we convert on those free throws.
Right, as we get a look at some of the highlights from the second half, and there were plenty. Tristan Knowles was the game's leading scorer, 18 points. The Spanish a much wider spread of scoring. And Rubio was crucial in a couple of periods where he was left alone or left reasonably alone on the perimeter. Taggart didn't quite have his 40-point game from the previous encounter, but pretty good defensively. And Ruiz, he didn't hit his shooting straps exactly. He did make that one, but it was a game of multiple contributions for Spain. Knowles, given that time and space, is almost automatic. He proved that tonight. Lovely touch pass there. That was Prieto. Probably the basket of the game. As we see both teams just going through the start of their recovery and cool down operation. That will do us tonight from the AUS Arena, but don't forget we'll be back tomorrow for the semi-finals. The players are probably relieved. It'll be just a couple of games in the afternoon and then 2 playoff games on the Tuesday. But until then, on behalf of me and Campbell Fraser, that's signing off from the AUS Arena.
Get what you really want with the new look Ford Ranger Wild Track. With its power roller shutter, stunning matrix LEDs, and premium B&O 10-speaker sound system. And you'll also get a 4K fuel card. That's 4K to take you on even bigger adventures. Available at your participating Ford dealer now.
What's up everyone, Jalen Brown here. I'm currently over in Turkey for the 25-26 Turkish League. I'm excited to get back and kick off this new era of wheelchair basketball with you all. The 2026 season is going to be something special. Make sure you're following along here for updates while I'm overseas.